Great. So I think that's a wonderful point to make about sort of having the wish and then letting it go. Kind of like if you're at a restaurant, you place your order, you have to give it to the waiter and then like just let go. I have hypoglycemia, which means a lot of times I'd go to a restaurant and I would be the one that needed the food the most. But I realized that I was sometimes holding on to that need so much that I would be the last person to get food at the table, and I'd be freaking out and I'm shaking, you know. And now that I recognize that, it doesn't happen to me anymore because it's like I let the order go.
That's
I don't
wonderful.
hold on to it.
Yes.
So it's really important.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes when we try or when we want something so much, it actually creates a little bit of a resistance. So it has to get through the resistance to get to us.
Yeah, yeah. And it was like this light bulb moment of, oh my gosh, I'm limiting this myself because I would get so frustrated. Why am I not getting my food? I told the waiter I'm starving.
Yes.
And so when I had that realization, it was so helpful in my life in general.
Yes. I remember one time I used to do this literary nonprofit, and it was just taking forever. Like the more we went on, it was just becoming more and more difficult, even though I was completely capable of doing it, but it was just energetically so difficult. Yeah. And I asked myself, what is making it so difficult? And I had this vision of myself going through the jungle, you know, cutting swaths of this lush foliage, and then coming eventually face to face with myself and my own perfectionism. And I went, oh my God, I couldn't even speak all weekend. I was so shocked because I suddenly realized it was me all along that had been making everything so hard. And it was very shocking, but very good because then I could change the way I was doing things.
Right, recognizing it, then you can change it. For some people, I think if you're a novice, the practice of manifesting in a bubble, like you mentioned, I could see is a little bit challenging. You know, sometimes I've done vision boards. Can you talk about maybe other ways that can be helpful besides the bubble exercise?
Yes, vision boards are great. You know, one thing that I do too is I do a collage every year or something. I'll do a collage for what I want to manifest, and I leave it up somewhere that I'm walking by constantly, so it kind of keeps it in my mind without me, you know, obsessing or poring over it or things like that. Another wonderful thing, one of my very first psychic teachers, Krista Sokash, whom I believe we had on the show, she taught me an exercise where you imagine your kinesthetic body. And, you know, we have different bodies, the astral body, the emotional body, you know, things like that. But we also have a kinesthetic body, and you can send it off to do something. So, for example, say you really want to exercise every day. So you can imagine sending your kinesthetic body to the gym, doing whatever exercises, dance you want to do. Imagine it getting thinner and stuff. And I noticed that the more senses that you involve, the better. So you can imagine feeling the sweat dripping off, the calories burning off in your body, you know, getting hot. You can feel the towel, the steel, whatever. And the more senses that you involve, kind of the easier it is to make that real for your body. And that's a really wonderful thing to do. Another important thing to do is really practicing having the energy of what you want, because some people, they try to manifest, but they never can have it, you know. So if you can imagine having the energy of whatever already inside of you, because some people are constantly in seeker mode, and the more they're in seeker mode, the more they're always seeking, and they can never get what they're trying to create, because, and sometimes they might try to imitate how someone else is doing it or whatever, but the more they do it, the less it works for them. An example of someone who was really successful, like Oprah, you know, she had the show, and I think she, you know, nobody thought it would be successful, but she could be exactly whom she wanted to be, and it was all about her, and the more authentic she could be, the more successful that was, and she did it in her own way. And I think whatever we're doing, if we can find our own way, whatever works for us, and have that creation manifest and resonate with our own divine vibration, then everything happens so easily. And also, the more we so if we have that in our body and just take each step, it's amazing what comes to support us. And sometimes people are like, oh, I can't do anything until X, Y, and Z.
Right.
But if they just know what they want and take that first step, then okay, on this step they need this, so that appears, and they're like, oh, okay, well maybe I should take the next step, and then that appears, and it's just amazing. Yeah, because if you keep waiting to do anything to use your own power to create, and you keep waiting for someone to give you something or create something for you or be given an opportunity, you could be waiting forever. And I think the universe really, we were given a divine power inside of us, and if we can use that divine power, then the universe will assist us.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really great point about how to do it, and then feeling like you can have it, because if you always feel poor, you'll never be able to, for example, manifest money. You have to feel it in the current time.
Exactly.
And then also when you've manifested, just another thing that I think is really important is having faith and having the feeling that you're already getting that it's already in progress.
Yes.
Because if you doubt it, then it basically blocks the manifestation.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's interesting too, because sometimes people will mock up or try to create a certain thing, like say, for example, again, the money example, since that's easy and concrete and everyone understands it. But if I mock up money, and then say someone tries to pay me for something, I'm like, no, that's okay, no, I don't need it, and then kind of looking at, okay, where can't we have the things? And it's funny too, because some people that come to me and say, oh, I really want to meet someone or whatever, but then I hear them say things that are sort of the opposite, like they have all these opportunities come for potential romance or whatever, and oh, I don't want to meet anyone, or oh, I'm done with men, or whatever. And it's funny, because the kind of negative self-talk that and the universe is kind of going, okay, do you want love or do you not want love?
Right.
So kind of looking within again and seeing any conflicting things about that's getting in the way between us and what we're trying to create.
Yeah, I think most people do that, and whether they're consciously manifesting or not, we're always manifesting. That's the truth of it, that we're always, through our thoughts, words, and actions, basically telling the universe what we want to happen or what we wish for. So if we're constantly saying negative things about ourselves or others, it's basically helping to make that happen and make it true.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because when people do that, just like you're saying, like they might say, oh, men are blah blah blah, and then they say, why do I meet all these yucky men or whatever?
Right.
And I'm like, well, see, and why can't I manifest? But then I say, okay, well, you are manifesting. Look what you're manifesting and how you're doing it. So that's a great point.
Yeah, I think most people think, oh, it's only for positive stuff, but really, we're constantly manifesting. It's just what we're talking about right now is the conscious manifesting, I guess.
Yes.
Doing an exercise where we specifically choose what we would like to happen and then take steps towards that. Because if we're always doing it, we might as well make it in our best interest.
Yes.
Great. Well, is there anything else that you would like to add about manifesting, tips, tools, suggestions, things to keep in mind?
I think just, again, doing it from your heart and doing it from your whole self. And sometimes our analyzers, our brains, can be our worst enemies and talk us out of things, or we know we want something in our heart, and then the brain's like, well, that's not really a good idea because this and this and this. But really just tapping into ourselves and creating from that space of just peace and love, and just having it already. And the more that we're aligned with ourselves and with spirit, it's just amazing the miracles that you create, all of us.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful, the idea of being very authentic and coming from a good place. I think another thing just for people to keep in mind is that many of the ideas of how we think things should happen come from society or family. And so if we can kind of break through those ideas, often we can increase our manifesting power. So if I've always believed, for example, that I have to get money through a paycheck or a job, as a standard job, then that's going to limit how things come to me.
Yes.
And if I can, remove that idea, then that will really open things up.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Naomi. I really am glad that you were on my show again.
Oh, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, you can find information on Naomi. She does workshops, personal readings and healings at holdinglightproductions.com, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.